Welcome everyone to the Softlock Podcast. This is your first episode for October of 2024. I'm one of your hosts, Jake. Joining me is the Pepperoni Meister, Jonathan, and this is an excellent episode of the show where we're going to be reviewing games. How you feeling today, Jonathan?
My lips are so chapped.
Chapped lips. It is quite dry out, isn't it?
It's just the change in temperatures. Every time it happens, I get the chappest lips.
I invested in a ginormo box of chapstick from Costco, and I'm slowly working my way through, but I've gone through 3 since the fall time has come. Normally it takes me like 1 every 3 months, so I'm feeling it.
That sucks. I have 0 chapstick in my life, really. I've been mooching off of Isla's chapstick, and let me tell you something. It's a nightmare. Yesterday, I had chapped lips, and my ass ate buffalo wings. Not a good idea.
Bro, just buy chapstick.
You know how hard it is to find chapstick sometimes?
No, it's not hard. It's not hard at all. They sell it at every store.
No, not when my daily route contains 0 stores.
That might pose a problem. They sell it on Amazon. They sell it at the freaking Renaissance Fair. You could buy it while you're there.
That's true. That is very true. But I didn't.
Yeah.
Is it? Ooh. Actually, you know what? Maybe I should do that.
They got the beeswax.
Next time I go. They got the beeswax. Is it like... It's not like It's not the Burt's Bees, right?
Nah. Burt's Bees is good, but I've been buying like real shit beeswax chapstick for a couple years now, and that's the way to go. The place I get it from is in Philly, but I'm kind of running out, so I might need to order some online or something.
Yeah, now let me reiterate. I don't have any beef against Burt's Bees chapstick. I just figured that if I was at a Renaissance fair and I'm buying chapstick, it would be like, you know, locally sourced.
Yeah. The bees, listen, me and bees, we got beef, but I respect their craft. I love honey. Yeah. I love beeswax chapstick. I mean, I love the nature that they provide. Do you hear they're making robot bees?
That's been in the works for a while now, hasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I think it's finally about to happen.
What is that? I just don't understand. Can you elaborate on what the bees are gonna do?
They're like little drone bees that are gonna do what bees do, so that when all the bees die, we don't lose our food.
What? Well, wait. Then if we have the technology to do what bees do, why do we have to make it? Why do we have to make bees? Why don't we just make a other more efficient shaped machine to do what bees do? Like the pollinator, like a giant plane that just pollinates every forest in America, like every 2 months.
I think the concern would be that if you make a very tiny robot that can fly, that isn't shaped like a bee and does what bees do, that people in a little organization called the U.S. military might get some funny ideas about how to use those robots. Is my only guess. I don't actually know.
Yeah. I guess so. It just seems like I don't know. It just seems like a lot of effort to make robot bees. It's like
you could just not kill nature. That'd be great, huh?
I don't know. That's like if my mom died, and the only solution I could think of is making a cyborg mom instead of like getting therapy. That's kind of how I see it. I feel like there's a lot of other more simplified options before moving on to the cyborgs. But maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm just full of fucking shit.
I mean, I'm with you, but also, if we can, why wouldn't we? You know, that's how Jurassic Park happened. This isn't a show about bees, though. This is a show about video games.
Oh.
We're going to be reviewing some games today.
Okay.
Yep. You know, every couple weeks, we're going to come to you with a podcast on your Spotify feed, on your YouTube feed, and anywhere else that you get your podcasts. We're doing a big old Halloween special at the end of October. This is not that. This is the beginning of October. No. So we're taking it easy.
Mm-hmm.
We've been busy, so we just wanted to get something out to you before too long. That way we can have plenty of time to prepare for Halloween. So keep this in mind if you're a fan. Write in, either in the comments on Spotify or YouTube, or feel free to DM us on Instagram, or if we put up a post or whatever. For the Halloween episode, we're going to be taking submissions. Discussion question I'd like to pose is, what's the scariest memory you have while playing a game? Is it
coupled
playing?
with your scariest memory period.
Yeah, unless it's traumatic. Well, it can be traumatic, but as long as it's not going to get us demonetized.
Yeah, I mean, you could just submit it and then we'll make that call.
Yeah.
How about that?
Is it just playing Slender and you get real spooked? Or were you playing a game on a laptop and then got into a horrific car crash? Let us know.
Yeah, well, we did play Slender, me and you, a couple weeks ago. I mean, we didn't play it. I just played it for maybe like 10 minutes over stream, and I gotta say, I got spooked. I got spooked like once, but it was good enough. IMO.
Game fucking sucks. It was really fun to watch though.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun to play. It was like Conquer. It was like, I don't know. It's like standing up to dad. I've never had that experience, but I heard that many American men have had that experience where they can stand up to their dad, and that's kind of how I imagine it would have felt.
As in, this shit not scary no more. You don't affect me. Is that what?
Yeah, it's like I'm an adult now, and you do not command fear in me as you once did. Very dark euphemism I'm using here.
Well, I think it's like a weird nostalgia thing as well, where like you come back to something that you like had a triggering memory of some kind. You know, like we don't all hold our childhood horror games as like actually traumatic, but I think it does do something to your brain chemistry where you're like a little bit like wigged out when you think about the things that scared you when you were younger, and then you can come back to them as an adult and you still get that feeling, but you also have the stand up to dad of like, no, I refuse.
It's like the memories. The memories are haunting, but you make more memories about beating the shit out of it. You ever play like you know at the end of a game, a lot of horror games do that thing where it's like, here's the thing that's been chasing you around the entire time. Now here's the weapon that can kill that thing, and you're like, oh okay, it's like that. I now have the gun to kill it.
It's called 10 years of adult trauma.
Yeah, 10 years of understanding how taxes work.
Oh man.
Yeah, it sucks, dude.
So, we didn't play any spooky games for this review. At least I didn't, and I think that's true. I'm saving my spooky vibes for the end of the month, but I do have a list of horror games that I'm trying to work my way through. However, it's October 8th, and I haven't been able to play any video games this month except for Balatro.
Oh, it's a pretty good one though.
It is. It finally came to mobile, so waiting for mobile was the best decision I could have made, because this is like the perfect game on my phone.
Really?
I won't harp on Balatro too much, because not only have we talked about it at length on this show, but every video game podcast has talked about it at length. But just my thoughts is that the mobile version is really good. Like, yeah. I didn't expect it to be bad, but just for those out there who, want a review of this mobile game, if they're not like a huge gamer, it is good on mobile. I think it's $10, so that's kind of steep for an app, but it is just a game. So like you kind of have to fork over the money if you don't want ads and gotcha mechanics nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
And it runs really well. It doesn't just burn my battery to death. It does make my phone get a little hot.
Really?
Yeah, a little bit.
Surprising.
There's not much of like in the ways of performance settings or like graphical settings or anything. So it just kind of is like your phone is doing its best. And for the most part, it's good. Sometimes there's some frame issues, like if it's a lot of cards in your hand, it can get a little framey. Is it like that on Switch?
Yeah. I mean, okay. You can definitely... So when you first start a game of Balatro, you got that silky smooth 60 FPS, and it's running good. And then the more wild your hand gets and build gets, the slower it will perform. And it will... That frame rate like cuts in half if it's like really wild.
See, I haven't had that during... It's literally just when there's a lot of cards in my hand. The game will get a little framey.
It's just temporary. But like if there's a lot of action on screen, for whatever reason, your frame rate can definitely like, it's noticeable. You're like, oh, I can tell my Switch is having troubles.
Yeah, and really I haven't run into that too much. Even when I've been playing on 2x speed, but even whenever I did mess around with 4x speed, and I had like a couple cracked runs, it was still keeping up, and the particle effects still looked great. So excellent news that the game runs well on your phone. At least my phone. I have a Pixel 7 Pro. If that helps you gauge anyone out
It
there.
doesn't, because no
Yeah.
one has a Pixel.
Whoa. Let's relax. Pixel is
I
like the
mean, one of
best.
their-
The best.
Yeah, but they're a bit obscure. Don't lie.
They used to be. I don't think they are anymore. I think I
I only know you who has one.
well, I only know you who has a Samsung. So what are you saying?
I'm saying that we would both not survive in the current high school landscape.
No, I had an Android all through high school. Fuck that. I don't.
I also had an Android all throughout high school and college, and let me tell you something. Girls straight up use it as like a breaking point to stop interacting with me.
It's true.
You have a Samsung? Green text?
It happens. I wrote a dissertation on how Apple uses its fan base and like corrupts their mind to mistreat Android users, and it's real. There's evidence. It's a real thing, and it's fucked up.
Yeah.
But I digress.
Come on, we all know. We all know it's happening. And Sega does what Nintendo don't. It's been happening.
Man. But never mind. I could
Nintendo
literally
what
go.
Sega can't.
It's true. Now Nintendo has Sega in the palm of their Switch Online service.
That's true.
Do you think it's going to continue? Like, are we going to
Switch
get
Online
the
service?
Saturn or like any other Sega stuff on Switch Online?
We're gonna have to see how the Switch successor plays out, because Nintendo does that thing where whenever there's a new console, they completely nuke all of the features and services of the previous console. But they really do have such a nice platform carved out for them that it would be really bizarre if they start this new console and they don't like transfer at least some of the things over. I think that's a big problem. I think that was a common criticism with the other new consoles, PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, more specifically for Series X, because the Series X really is, almost like carbon copy of the Xbox One, just way more powerful, of course, and with a couple of extra features, but like it looks the same. The home menu is the same, all the menus are the exact same, and all the services are pretty much the exact same. But Switch, Nintendo never does that, so I'd be really surprised if Nintendo like just throws out all that fucking progress they made after having a massive flop of the Wii U.
I'd say that I don't expect it, but at this point, I think we're trained to expect them to just throw it all away for no reason.
Yeah, I hope not. That'd be really weird to just start from fucking scratch. People just kind of want to play their games.
That should be the mantra for like every system, every store. People just want to play their games.
Yeah.
Why is it so hard?
Why give service when not give service?
Just to wrap up my thoughts on Balatro, though, it's a really good game. I think everything that you said, I pretty much echo from the last few episodes. It's super polished, super well paced, very very well balanced, and I think it strikes the right balance between crazy and I guess a weird, like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's perfectly random and skill based at the same time. Like, I think you can win any run of Balatro with smart decisions, but I don't think you can get to like the highest heights without a lot of random chance, and that's kind of where I want it to be.
I feel like it's almost like, I think you can get fucked by bad luck for sure. I don't think you need good luck to win though.
Right, that's probably the best way to put it.
Yeah, I've seen some of the shit that people do, some of those challenges, jokerless challenges, where they don't pick up any jokers and they just like use like ingenuity and shit like that. And I'm convinced you could really do almost anything if you put your mind to it.
True. I got a couple questions for you though that I don't think we touched on in our last reviews because I was not prepared.
Okay, sure.
So what's with does it just literally go on forever in endless mode, or is there like a second like stopgap of some kind?
Oh, there is a second stopgap. You can reach a threshold where the skill threshold, not the skill threshold, the score threshold is like infinity. It's like doesn't even render. It says like non-inf or something like that, and that is pretty much like, and you can't reach it, so you will get a game over. But I've seen some people see that as like a really nice challenge to get, but you get nothing for it, which is something I kind of really enjoy, is that this really like tough as nails challenge that you really need like a broken ass thing to get. It's just for you. It's just for your high score. I like that. There's no like secret unlockable behind it because it's super, super difficult. It's just for you. It's all for you. So you can do that. The game does not go on infinitely. It does end after that, but it's difficult to you. I've never had it happen ever.
Okay, because I can never get past like, I'd say my highest is probably like ante 11. That's probably the highest I've been able to get.
I think I've gotten to ante 12 once, and that's the highest I've ever been able to get. But I'm pretty sure the ante, it goes up to, hold on, let me see. Balatro antes. For some reason, I'm under the impression that the antes go up to like 30 something. Here we go. It goes up to 39. So, and the base chip requirement for ante level 39 is 4.8 E309.
Nah, don't bring in the E.
Oh, the E, they start doing the E at like ante, let's see here. They start doing the E at ante 14. Once you pass 47 million chips, it goes to 2.9 E13.
Get the E out of here.
Yeah, wait, it's just to the E is like to the power, right?
Yeah.
Is that correct? Yeah, so, and it overflows apparently. So the game literally can't even, it's such a high number that the game is not like programmed for it. So it just overflows into NAN. So that's, that's how you end it. In the, oh, hold on. On purple stake or higher, the last ante requirement is 1.9 to the 310th power, which seems lower for some reason. It doesn't matter. Anyway, yeah, it goes up. It goes up really high, more than you can count.
Yeah. And then my other question is like, okay, so I'm at the point now where I've kind of exhausted my initial like burst of motivation to keep progressing in the game. So I did white stake on all the decks I have access to, and then I did one of the next stake up. So I got like one more deck. And do you personally go in with an unlock goal now, or do you just go in to just play and see what happens?
I personally try to go in for a stake goal. I try to at least break a stake that I haven't done before. But I haven't played in a little while now, but in my 50 hours, once I got to your point, I just tried to break stakes and get a higher stakes because you unlock more decks like that. You can get some really interesting decks. Some of the best decks and that completely actually change your playstyle. You have to unlock through raising the stakes. And there is a couple of cards here and there that you have to unlock doing specific things. And those you probably will have to go out of your way to unlock, but that's not too hard. It's not like you have to seek out doing it. It's just kind of when the opportunity presents itself to you, you just have to try to remember that you can do that pretty much. I didn't go out of my way to unlock shit. I just tried to beat the stakes and get those like completion requirements, and that's kind of it.
Okay, because I always like the carrot on a stick, but now I'm at a point where I'm like, okay, I've hit a point where I'm not going to be unlocking something every run or even every win.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not ready to take a break or like put it down or anything, but I am kind of in that zone of like, okay, now I'm just kind of going through the motions, but in a pleasant way. Like I'm enjoying this still, and I'm hoping to maybe I'll get a second wind or something.
Yeah, you might. You certainly might. You might have to take like a little break or something. Don't kill yourself trying to unlock all these things. I think the best thing you can do with Balatro is just like play it as your interest. Play it as your interest goes.
Yeah. Yeah, and on 4x speed, you can crank out a win in like half an hour, and that's how long I have for my lunch break. So I'm going to keep playing indefinitely, probably. But tell me about a game you've been playing. Give me a review.
I'm going to challenge your review of Balatro and talk about a game that is basically completely luck, and that is Slice and Dice. This game is very similar to the concept of Balatro. It's not actually completely luck, but while Balatro is like a game that allows you to be on your feet and kind of be like cunning and figure something out like most of the time to get out of scenarios. I feel like a lot of people say that Balatro, as a joke, like started their gambling addiction. Balatro has like no gambling. I don't know why they're saying that it attributes to their gambling addiction when it has no gambling at all. It's not like blackjack. The only thing I can imagine is that it's closer to, like, it is poker, but like you're not losing anything. Like you lose a run, but that's like kind of it. There's no, like, I don't know. It's not gambling in the way that I think gambling is, where it's like mostly luck and you're just like throwing your shit out. A game that is like that is Slice and Dice, and it's very similar to Balatro in that, you know, it's on mobile devices, perfect for breaks at work and commutes. Pixel aesthetics, and that's kind of where the similarities end. The actual game is like chaos. I call it chaos game design because there's just like, there's so much shit in this game, and it all has very little impact, right? And that's not necessarily a bad thing. This game is a perfect example of a time killer. Not something that you can really fall in love with, I think, to the same extent as something like Balatro. Because Balatro, I think, has a very high impact for what it is. It's very memorable. It is addicting. It's super fun. Meanwhile, Slice and Dice is not as memorable, just doesn't have the same impact, the same fun factor, and same level of excitement. Because the game... Let's talk about how the game actually functions. So Slice and Dice is a... I don't even know what you would call it. It's an action game?
Is it a roguelike?
It is a roguelike. Let me look up. Let me get some buzzwords in my brain because I clearly don't know how to describe this game. It's really strange. It's a very, very strange game. No Wikipedia page for me to even rely on. So it's very difficult for me to talk about this game, clearly. Turn-based strategy, roguelike dungeon crawler. Those are the popular user-defined tags for this product. And looking at some screenshots, hopefully you'll put some up on the screen. So it's 20 battles, and you have 5 heroes on your team, and every hero has dice. They have 1 die, and each side of their die is a different ability that they have. They can deal damage, they can heal, they can shield. Those are like the main 3 abilities that you get. And then there's also, as more and more heroes and upgrades are unlocked, you get more interesting abilities, such as like this prevents death. Like this ability will prevent death on a character that you choose for this turn. Or you can shield this character for 3, but if they have full HP, you can double that shield to 6. So it's full of shit like that. And basically take what I just said, and then multiply that by like 10. There is so much shit in this game. There's so many heroes. There is so many dice combinations. There is so many strategies you can employ and ways you can go about taking things on. There's so many items to find that can alter your dice and your heroes. There's so many upgrade paths for every single hero. And it is all down to random chance. Every single fucking thing I just said is down to complete random chance. Because you are just rolling dice for every single thing you do in this game. Not every single thing you do, like operating the menus clearly is not based on a dice roll. But the main game is just 20 waves of enemies that you go through. Each wave you level up, and then you get an item in that order until you reach level 20, wave 20, and then you fight the final boss, and then it's over. And every single thing you do, you're on the same screen the whole time, is based on the luck of the dice. And
So-
that's it.
While you were explaining the game, I popped it open so I wasn't just completely talking out my ass, because I did download it on your recommendation. And I'd like to add something in that I think kind of changes the way I'm thinking of it now that I've seen how it actually plays.
Okay.
Is that this is Yahtzee.
What do you
Because
mean by that?
you get to pick which character gets certain dice and then re-roll the rest. So you do
Yes.
have a decent amount of agency over manipulating the luck of the game. Is that accurate?
You would think not in the way that Balatro does it. Like Balatro, you can manipulate the game in pretty much the exact same way you want, but in Slice and Dice, basically all you could do is ask yourself for a second chance, and that's it. It's still up to like the will of the cards. It's like when you're playing Dungeons and Dragons and you use inspiration. You get a fucked up roll and you use inspiration, and then you get the exact same outcome. The outcome that you just got is just as likely to happen again, essentially. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So,
I wasn't
yeah.
aware that you could like pick from the dice and pick which character does what and like target and stuff. I literally thought the whole thing was just like throw the dice on the ground and see what happens, and then it plays out.
No, so it is a little bit more than just throwing the dice and then you just immediately act. What sets it apart from just being roll the dice and see what happens is that you can pick and choose. You basically, on the base normal rules, you get 3 dice rolls, and then you can pick and choose at any time during those 3 dice rolls if you like an ability to lock it in. And then the abilities you don't like, you can re-roll them. Of course, you will have the same chance of getting the ability you didn't like that you tried to re-roll, but there's still a chance. And once you get everything you want locked in, then you can use the abilities in any order that you want. So a lot of it is in your hands, but the chance of you getting completely fucked over just because is highly likely. It will happen eventually, just because it's based on complete chance. But you can try to fight the odds as much as possible. It just won't always work all the time. And it really is just so much shit. I can't understate how much shit there is. Something that's interesting is that your heroes are actually based on your colors. So you would think the hero is like the actual like portrait that you have, and that's not really your hero. Your hero is actually the color. Your color determines what like class you are, essentially. I don't really know what the classes are, but it's like the orange hero does kind of like a thief type class where they can do damage and they could do like weird things like turn invisible or maybe do like range damage or poison people. And then like the yellow hero is usually like straight attack and defense. Gray is usually defense. Red is a healer type, support type, and then blue is magic type, which is another mechanic in the game. And all the classes for each hero type is based on a single model, essentially, where the orange, every hero type in the orange category is going to be like this blue-haired lady. But you just upgrade her to look different. And they are very nice, like, visual differences. It's nice to, like, see what they do. And it's also really cool to see how their dice change. Their dice changes up completely every single time. Every single class has a completely different dice. Some of them have completely unique abilities and combinations. And even if they don't have any unique attributes to them, like abilities on their die, just the makeup of their die can change how they play. If, a character that has a really high damaging attack on a single face and then has 4 blank spaces is going to play much differently than a character who has, like, all his sides on low damage attacks. You know what I mean? So there is choice in that way. That's, like, very, very cool. And that's where I think the drive is just to see what happens. Going into Slice and Dice, I think I've had like 10 hours in the game so far, and I've gotten my enjoyment out of it by just going into the game and just seeing what happens. I don't think you should go into Slice and Dice with any sort of like goal or, thing you want to do specifically. Just kind of go in to play it and then see what happens. Because like I said, everything is based on, almost everything is complete luck. That's how it can feel like. It's just going to be the roll of the dice at the end of the day. Even how your heroes upgrade. Even when you start your run, you don't choose who you start your run with. Once you unlock a couple of things, you can choose out like the makeup of your team. So you can have like 2 oranges or 2 yellows and 3 grays if you want. But they're all on presets. You get a choice of 3 presets. One of them being the basic one, 2 of them being randomly assigned presets, and that's what you get. There's no, ooh, I don't like this, I want to re-roll. No, those are your options until you start a run and then fail the run. When you get to upgrade a character, you get 2 options, and that's it. There's no choice. If you were like, oh, I really want to get this class, this run, it's definitely not going to happen because you have like a 1 in 30 chance of getting it. So you're just not going to get it. So don't anticipate that you're going to get it. Just hope that the options you are given will be enough for you to finish the run. And then you can, start a new one next time and hope for better luck. They even have a fucking mechanic where they won't let you like save scum. Not save scum. They won't let you, restart your run over and over to get like a party composition that you specifically want. Every time you start a run, it generates like the seed, and then if you don't get up to the first boss, which is like 3 battles in, it just restarts the seed. So you can't just like load up a run and then restart before the battle even starts to get another seed. You have to do it. You have to do it at least until round 3, which is a really bizarre.
That's kind of crazy.
It is really, really crazy. But that's like, again, don't go into it with goals and aspirations. Just play it. Just take it as it is. Roll those dice and see what happens.
It sounds like it's the same vibe as like an auto battler, but you are the auto. You are the robot that's making everything happen. You just have very little control over it.
That's a great way to put it. You are the auto battler. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And I gotta say, something really surprising is that I said this is like chaos game design, but this is probably one of the most balanced roguelikes I've ever played. Because I'm constantly, in every run, most of the time, maybe not constantly, but like most of the time in every run, I feel like I am on the verge of death. And I am just so equal. I get out of a lot of encounters and I'm just like, I don't even know how I did that. I have like 0 clue how I did it. And maybe that's because everything is based on luck. So you really feel like you're at the whims of the universe. But it can be tense. You can be like, oh shit, just one more dice roll. Let me get this one out. Yeah.
And
yeah, I don't know.
Something significant to be said, for me at least, and I'm sure a large portion of people, for a game that you can play on your phone vertically. You
can in fact do it vertically.
That is an oft requested feature of mine in any mobile game I play, is to be able to play it with one hand vertically. It changes things for the better.
You can it looks like you're texting.
Right?
When you're actually gaming.
Then I can be texting in the back of class, and then I'll just get in trouble for texting, and no one's going to call me out for slicing and dicing.
Yeah, texting is somehow more acceptable than gaming. That's not that surprising. I shouldn't be surprised. Yeah, but and this game does have the opportunity to keep you intrigued for a long time. Not only does it have all these heroes, all these abilities, all these enemy types that have their own unique way of engaging with them and attacking them and just defending from them. Like, for example, like the bee enemy. The bee enemy has a chance to land on an attack that is a stinger that does a lot of damage to you, but it will die as soon as it uses it. So it's like, oh, that's part of the strategy in a way. And you can get really fucked by having every single bee land on the stinger. And it's like, oh, okay, I guess I won, but also all my heroes are dead. But that's just how it is. One thing happened. I lost a boss once because I was doing like a bird queen or something like that, and she had 4 eggs surrounding her. And when you observe these eggs, the eggs had this dice where 5 of the faces were completely blank, but one of the faces was hatch. And if it landed on the hatch face, it hatched into a duplicate of the boss. And it's like, oh, okay, so that's like you kind of want to deal with the boss as fast as you can or break the eggs as fast as you can. That's really interesting. However, what happened on the first round of combat is that all 4 eggs landed on hatch. I didn't win.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was really fucked up. And you know, that's just how it is. You can't get that upset because that's just how it be. You know, runs are pretty long too. Runs can last like up to an hour. If you want to get like a finishing run, it can last up to an hour, and you can just get fucked and just die right at the end. That's just part of the experience, you know? There is a ton of different modes though, which is what I was trying to get to. There is, and this is another part of like the chaos development that I'm trying to like make a name for. So not only is the actual gameplay like just, you know, chaos, where they just put everything in that they wanted to and just, you know, they let it balance itself essentially. There's just so many modes in this game that were just put in just because. There's so many features in this game that were put in just because. Like there's literal messages on some of the modes. Like, I don't know. There's a folder of modes called crappy modes. And some of them tell you that like this isn't balanced at all. This sucks. But it's just in the game just because. Yeah. There's a save button in the pause menu, and when you press it, it opens up a pop-up and says, "This game autosaves. This menu is useless. Press this box to delete the save menu from the pause." And it's just full of shit like that. It's just full of shit like that.
That's cool, yeah. Funny.
It's hilarious, I gotta say. It's pretty cheap. $9. At the very bottom of the Steam page, it says, "I plan to not participate in any sales, deals, or bundles." No AI was used to make this game. I think that's hilarious how he says he's not going to participate, or they say that they're not going to participate in any sales. And you know what? That makes me feel a little better for buying it at full price, because I wasn't going to get any cheaper, I guess.
Talk about calling your shot. And it's free on mobile. So I guess that's why they're like, you know, if you're buying it on Steam, you're buying it for full price.
I guess they're much. I wonder if there's like is it like a free version on the mobile? I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it's the whole game. Like I said, I don't think you can get away with putting out a $9 game on mobile unless you know you got the stuff.
Yeah. And you know, another thing is that this game has been in development for like 7 years. Or when did it come out? It came out this year. It came out in March of this year. It's been in development for a really long time. And it was made by like one dude, and it was on itch.io for a while. So people have history with this game. So it's nice to see that it's on a platform and it's making some money. I think a lot of people have found it. It's got overwhelmingly positive on Steam. People really, really like it. But I do got to say, the big but is that it does lack on impact. I'm not sure if this is going to be a game that is going to permeate my skull like other roguelikes I've played, other video games I've played. You know, I don't know if it's going to satisfy me in the same way that other video games are going to. This game is a perfect bag of chips, you know?
Like a good junk food game.
Yeah, it's a perfect bag of chips for what it is. It does exactly what it needs to do. And that's kind of it. You know, it's almost like there's nothing really to say about it in a way. I think other people who are more into it probably have better things to say and more things to say about it than I do. Because I'm really just like, all right, let's just waste some time, you know?
Yeah. I mean, those are sometimes the most appreciated games are the ones that make you feel something intensely for a short period of time, but the unsung heroes are the ones that you can go to whenever you want and just vibe.
Yeah, that's what this is. That's what this is. And I'm kind of at odds with it because of that, because I sometimes I don't feel great about the time I spend using to play on it, because it is low on impact and it doesn't really feel like it amounts to much, but it's a lot of fun. And honestly, just watching the Steam trailer right now, I'm like, yeah, this is a good buy. This is a good buy. I would implore anyone who's into Balatro and is looking for something uber casual. Uber casual, doesn't matter if you win or lose. Doesn't really matter what you do at all. And you just want to just play a game, no strings attached, just like play a game. Like you're like caveman. You just go play a game. Just play Slice and Dice. No story.
Honestly, great selling points.
Yeah. No story, no learning curve, really. No, like, thing you have to figure out. No hurdle you got to get past. Just play a game.
Well, sometimes we need to just play a game.
Yeah. That's something I do less and less as time goes on. Very sad.
Yeah, I've had no time to play games since the last episode. So my next game that I'm gonna review, I'm only halfway done with. But let me tell you, I might finish it, but I don't think my review is gonna change. I'm probably not gonna finish it.
Oh boy, what is this?
I, of course, am talking about a very exciting game that many people were looking forward to. It's a PlayStation game, known for letting you dress up as fun little characters from other PlayStation games. A platformer, if you will.
Oh no. Wait a minute.
One that was the subject of conversation for many a month after it came out because of how anticipated the return of this franchise was.
Return of this franchise.
I, of course, am talking about Sackboy, A Big Adventure. Not Astrobot.
Sackboy's back? Yeah, I was going to say, what happened to Astrobot?
I don't have money. And I said, I'm not going to buy Astrobot when I didn't play the last platformer that PlayStation made. So let me finish that one first.
What the fuck is Sackboy's Big Adventure?
Sackboy, A Big Adventure was a launch title for the PS5. It's a 3D platformer, not a Little Big Planet game. It's just a straight up 3D platformer where the sack is back, baby. You are Sackboy.
This is the first I'm ever seeing about this.
That is crazy.
I'm dead serious. I've never seen this before in my life.
Okay, so the reason that's crazy is because, I can imagine you probably didn't hear about it when the PS5 launched because everyone was talking about Demon's Souls and Spider-Man. But they put out a DLC for this game every month for like 6 years, 4 years, however long it's been out. Every month, I swear to God, on social media, I saw that there was a new pack. They're all free, and they're just like costumes. But they were just constantly adding crap to this game, and I could never avoid it. I'm like, are people really playing Sackboy, A Big Adventure in 2024 that we need to be adding all these skins? But apparently they are.
You gotta tune in every month. It's like a Monster Hunter.
Yeah, it's like an
event quest. It's a little different
quest.
because it's an MMO. Yeah, event quest and Monster Hunter. That's exactly what it is.
And despite all the skins, I was just playing in the Astrobot skin to fill the void. And so this game...
I understand.
This is... The reason that I'm, like... talking about this right now, right after your conversation with Slice and Dice, is that it's such a perfect comparison because this is also just a game. But this, I would say, is an example of it should have been more than a game. So the fact that a company like Sony can put out a video game like this, it's like, what are we doing here? So it's developed by Sumo Digital, which I just assumed it was by like Japan Studio or something because I'm pretty sure they labeled it as like a PlayStation Studios game, but Sumo is just like a AA developer that they made. What was that launch title for the Switch? I guess they're just really good at making launch titles. The one where you were the snake. Remember that?
This one where you were a snake.
Yeah, and you were like, it was like a platformer, but you were a snake and you guided yourself by turning your head, and you had to use like snake physics.
What the fuck? I've never heard of this before either.
Snake Pass.
Snake Pass.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Jake. I only play good games.
Well, whenever the Switch first came out, this was all we had besides Breath of the Wild. They also
God.
made,
okay. You know what?
yeah.
I've seen this like once in my life.
I remember playing that game and wanting to love it so bad because I wanted to play my Switch and I just could not love it. And they also made Crackdown 3. So that's the caliber of game that we're working within here.
Awesome. Okay.
But it does have, for better or worse, the Sony polish. It is a PS5 game. It looks very pretty. You can see all the little... okay, so Sackboy, made of cloth. Big surprise. You know how sometimes in certain types of cloth, you can see it has like the little little cloths, the little strings that stick out of the sides. You could see that on Sackboy. The little threads that like stick out and it kind of looks like hairs. You got this hairy ass Sackboy, and you can see every stitch. You can see every button, every little nook on his wrinkly body. I don't know why we need to bring Sackboy back, but it's a very pretty game. And the animations are from the PlayStation 2. The visuals are stunning, but it is a PS2, maybe PS3 liberally platformer. This is just, I would equate it not in terms of quality, but in terms of style to Super Mario 3D World. I think that's the best type of 3D platformer to compare this to, where it's set levels go from point A to point B. There's 3 collectibles, sometimes 5 collectibles along the way that are pretty well hidden, and then there's a fuck ton of coins everywhere that you got to collect to unlock your costumes and stuff.
Okay.
And you can play with up to 4 players. The co-op is drop in, drop out. It's online. I didn't try the online, but I did play the local co-op, and it works very well.
Who do you play with? Who's the second Sackboy?
I made Sam play with me. My girlfriend.
Yeah, but like who is the character in game?
Oh, so you're both Sackboy, but there's 1,000 fucking DLC costumes. So you get to be Ellie, or you get to be Kratos, or you get to be a Fall Guy, or you get to be Parappa the Rapper, and
yeah, I'm looking at some of these DLC costumes, and I gotta say, some of them are pretty funky looking.
I just think Sackboy's so ugly.
Sackboy is very ugly.
And so this is kind of where I want to drive with this, is that I loved Little Big Planet back in the day more than I loved most things. I really, really dug Little Big Planet on the PSP, and then also on the PS3. I don't know which one was on PS3. I guess that was either 2 or 3 that I played there.
Yeah, I think both of them.
Well, whichever, I think 2, because Media Molecule I don't think made the 3rd one. Well, it doesn't matter, but I just really loved Little Big Planet back in the day. I liked the campaigns that they had built in there. I thought they were super creative. I liked all the tools so you can make your own levels, and of course like the level editor, share online things. You could always find something to play, and it really was like a magical UGC experience for me as a youngling. And this has just none of that. None of it.
Damn.
Not even in like vibe, not even in its legacy. It's just Sackboy. That's it.
There he is. There's our boy.
I think they wanted to go for like the Yoshi's Woolly World, Kirby's Epic Yarn vibe, so everything is like, it is like creative, it is crafted well to look like it's made out of cloth and cardboard and scrap and junk, and like the levels are all, they look like dioramas in the best way possible. They're just not interesting. They're just so by the numbers. And
I mean, what can Sackboy do? What are his abilities?
So he jump.
Okay.
That's essentially all you need. There is a Peach Glide. There is a roll, which is just a sprint. It doesn't give you any like invincibility or anything. And then you can smack, but the smack is really only good because you can smack your co-op partners, and then it makes a really loud noise through your controller speaker. It's not really good for anything else. And that's about it. Well,
that sounds like a very monotonous platformer.
Yeah, and like I can't really fault it for having a pretty basic moveset, because it does have like the Mario hidden moves. Like if you roll in the air and then punch, you can do like a spinning attack. And if you jump after hitting an enemy, you get like a super high jump kind of thing. It has all that, and it's nuanced just like like Astrobot is, because Astrobot's kit is just a jump, a glide, and a smack. It's the same shit. But it's what you do with the levels to complement that matters, and this just does not have the stuff. I'm about 3/4 of the way through the game right now, and I'm probably gonna finish it. But I get no joy from finding the collectibles. I get no challenge from doing the levels. It's junk food. But I was expecting it to be. I mean, I guess I wasn't expecting it to be great, but it's a PlayStation game, and it looks visually stunning. I wanted it to at least be good, and I can't say it's good. I can say it's competent, I guess. But
that is it's not a hefty compliment.
It's not. Like, I'm not gonna. I don't hate it. I like it in the most general way that I like 3D platformers, but it's certainly not in the top tier. It's not. I guess I should. Like, it's not bad. Like, they don't do anything aggressively wrong. Like, I'm not falling through the world. It's not poorly made. the levels aren't needlessly like unfair or too easy. They are kind of challenging in some parts, but it's just so straight down the middle, so safe that I can't say anything grand about it. But there's two things I need to talk about.
Okay.
There are challenge levels that came in as an update, and they are actually really good. But there's only like, I think there was 10 of them, and there's probably like 100 levels in the game. So if you're, your batting average is not great there. But I do have to admit, the challenge levels, they are pretty challenging and they are really fun. And also, I might need to send this video to you after the podcast, but there's a level in this game. You walk up to it, it looks like any other level. It doesn't have any icons on it to denote that this level might be unique or different in any way. But you hop into it, and you walk in your little sack, you plot onto this elevator, and you go up the elevator, and then this bass line kicks in the music, and the whole level starts doing like the hi-fi rush thing where it's like moving along with the music, and you're like, wait a minute, I've heard this bass line before. This sounds too familiar to be stock Sackboy soundtrack. And then you get to the top of the elevator, and there's a little radio, and it just starts playing Bruno Mars. And the whole level is synced up to Uptown Funk.
No.
Yeah. The whole level is a music level synced to Uptown Funk.
It can't be.
It was shocking. I was floored when I realized what was going on.
I'm looking at this right now.
You should. It is bizarre. And the worst part is, it's not even really synced up all that well. And there's a lot of parts where if you like jump into something too early, it like holds you there while it gets to the next refrain of the song, and the stuff I applaud them for taking a swing to make a level based on a licensed song in a game like this, but it was just so weird.
Yeah, Treble in Paradise is at the name of the level.
Like, I was playing it, I forget, I was in the middle of something. I think I was in the middle of class or whatever, if you're my teacher, pretend you didn't hear that. And I called Sam into the office to come look at what I was looking at, and she also burst out laughing. Even she knew, having not played the game at all, that this was not supposed to be happening.
As you were speaking, I was watching that, and that is hilarious. That is so funny that they didn't, like, prep you in any way. They just start playing that shit like it's nothing.
It really did. I like went white. I felt all the blood leave my body when I realized what was about to happen.
You know, they could have picked a worse song.
Yeah, I guess
not a bad song.
It's not a bad song, but it is like it's just so straight down the middle. Like what if it was like Thunderstruck or something? Like nothing too crazy, but just a little bit out there for what you would expect. No, this is just like straight down the middle 2010s hit pop song.
Yeah, playing it safe. They're playing it safe,
Yep.
all right.
That is the
definition.
definition.
At gameplay of this right now, this is extremely boring.
Right, but it's not like bad, right? You see what I mean? It's not like it's poorly made. It's not like it's bad. It's just not anything to write home about, and that is the perfect encapsulation of my entire experience with the game thus far.
That's typically what boring things are. They're just nothing. They're not necessarily bad. It's just there's nothing to do. There's nothing to think about or interact with.
What I will say is that I bet this game would be a lot better if you were playing with 4 people. Because I don't necessarily love Mario 3D World with multiple people. I think it's a much better game when you play it solo. But there's a certain sense of fun and wackiness that you can only get in a game that's that chaotic with 4 people. And I think if you applied that to this game, it would alleviate a lot of the issues of boredom, because you can just walk over and punch a friend in the back of the head and they fly off the screen.
That's true. That's very, very true. I love Mario 3D World because it's essentially 2 different games. You know, there's the game you play when you're alone and the game you play with your friends. This is 2 different games. You play completely differently.
Yeah, and even there's
completely different.
There's levels in Sackboy that you can only play co-op. There's only a few of them, and they don't do anything with it. It's like, here you have to go up, you have to throw your friend up there so they can hit the button so that you can come up. And that's about the extent of where that gimmick ends.
Yeah.
But That's my review of Sackboy: A Big Adventure. If you find it for like $20 and you have children and or roommates, you should probably play it. Any other situation, cannot recommend.
I don't have either. So when should I play it?
I mean, I am now. I'm thinking about it. I didn't think about it until I said that. I bet this game would be really fun if you were a kid. So maybe it was made for the people who are buying the PS5 day one who have kids and wanted something to play with them. Maybe that's what it was for, and maybe it resonated with them. I'm not that, and you are not that. So
That's true.
I don't know.
You know, it was fun for me when I was a kid. A swing set.
Yeah, but that you have to go outside for that, and you can't watch Skibbity Toilet on your iPad while you're doing it.
That's not true. First of all, that's maybe you can't, but there's certainly most people can. You just haven't tried hard enough.
As a gamer child, I love the swing set just as much as anyone else. But if my choice was swing set or game where you're a sack, I'd probably pick the game where you're a sack.
I swallowed a spider on a swing set once.
That's gross.
It just it spun its web right in front of me as I was swinging right towards it, and it just went right into my mouth.
I would be petrified. And you didn't like get spider powers or anything. You just probably got a bellyache.
No, I just kind of spit it out, and then I saw its like crumpled and wet body on my hand, and I was like, oh.
Gross.
Yeah, it wasn't a good day. I actually know what it was. I'm surprised that I was able to keep it together that well for young Jonathan. I was just kind of like, oh, that's not good.
You're probably in shock, and then you got home later that night and cried.
Maybe. I might have. Can't remember what happened after that, so it's increasingly likely.
All right, but yeah, I'm not going to talk about Sackboy again on the podcast, so I kind of just wanted to get it out of the way, to be honest with you. But you can feel free to take the floor with literally any other game, please.
Just today, I have finished Blasphemous.
Tell me about Blasphemous.
It was all right. It was
It
pretty good.
What is it?
What is it?
What is it? Because I know it's a Metroidvania, right? But like, what's it all about?
Okay, well, it's a video game, and then for those who are based, it is a Metroidvania style action adventure game, which I definitely think it's very Souls-like inspired. And I definitely think it's more Souls inspired. It's very Souls inspired in terms of like tone and story and stuff like that. And then Metroidvania in terms of like its world design, of course. And it is it's an action adventure where you go through this big interconnected world, inspired by Spain. Out of all things, the real country of Spain, specifically like the religious culture of Spain, like Spanish Catholicism, and you're this guy who has a very pointy helmet, and you're going through this world, and this world's all fucked up, right? Something called the miracle happened in this world, and in the world in general, everyone is very very religious. Everyone speaks through faith and stuff like that, and the miracle is this thing where it's like the manifestation of like the higher wills of like whatever, like God above or whatever like that, and it just like basically curses people. It's like people turn into like ghouls and monsters. Some people get like really unique transformation where they turn into like a tree or something like that, or they turn into like woman with 3 faces on one head, and she's in a giant ball of hair.
Yeah.
And that's just what she is. Like another guy who is like, he just has this face. He's like a normal looking guy, and then there's just like this face of an old person on his stomach, and he's like, yeah, that's not good. And then you progress his quest line, and that face slowly becomes like a full body that's like exiting his stomach, and his questline ends when the full body just emerges from his stomach, and like he just dies, and then old man body just like lays on the floor next
So
to you, and you're like,
gross.
oh well, that's it.
So
And
gross.
people, yeah, it's awesome. And people worship these individuals as like saints. They're like, this is the miracle working through us. This is the higher wills working through us. And it's like they talk a lot about like, you know, penance. And no one is like, oh, the miracle really fucking sucks. This is like something that really sucks, and I hate it so much. Everyone is fully on board with the miracle. They're like, this is my penance. This is the God's will. I am blessed for being the conduit for this miracle, to be blessed with a giant person coming out of my chest cavity. I'm blessed. And they're like, you know, they get worshipped as saints and shit. It's very, very interesting in terms of like tone and story. I mean, the story is like almost incomprehensible, and that's kind of like why it reminds me it's very Souls-like heavy, because this is the only Souls-like game I've seen in a very long time that I can think of off the top of my head even that actually truly harnesses the tone and story aspects of a Souls-like, because something about a Souls-like is that, specifically the Dark Souls games.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
you know,
when you say Souls-like, do you mean Dark Souls, or are you including like Bloodborne in there?
Oh
like,
no, in this case I mean Dark Souls, but also like Bloodborne. I'm kind of excluding things like Sekiro and stuff, but basically almost every FromSoft game pretty much goes by like the mantra of like, this is a destroyed world, or this is a world where like, just, you know, this is not normal living compared to us. This is a supremely strange world we're living in, usually past its prime. Something horrible has happened or is currently happening. And it's also, the story and lore is like borderline incomprehensible. And that's what Blasphemous is. It's like, it fits the tone perfectly of like a destroyed, dead, dying world, mixed with, I don't really know what's going on. But the mystery is fun to pick out from like lore and random shit that the characters say that doesn't make any sense. It fits that in terms of FromSoft Souls perfectly. The game looks gorgeous. Some of the best pixel art I have laid my eyes upon. Not really the full cutscenes. The actual like full cutscenes kind of can look a little funky, but the actual like in-game pixel art looks phenomenal. Looks amazing. Music is pretty good. The only problem with Blasphemous is probably the gameplay, which is unfortunate because it's a game.
Is it not good? I thought people liked it a lot.
Yeah, I mean, people really like it, but I don't know. I am not a huge fan of it because it's kind of repetitive. So you only have one weapon in the game, which is like fine, but you basically just get one moveset the entire game. And you can upgrade this moveset, but all you do is upgrade your existing moves. You don't get like new moves, which is kind of lame. So you will be doing the same, you will be tackling enemies in the exact same way the entire time. The level design doesn't really present you a challenge in terms of like, I don't know, most of the enemies will just face you on like a neutral plane essentially. So once you like kill an enemy for the first time, you can basically use that same exact strategy for the rest of your playthrough. Something about Metroidvanias that I think my favorite Metroidvanias give you upgrades throughout the game that change the way you traverse the world. They make traversal easy. They make it easier. They open up more options. So they'll make it easier for sections of the game that you've already been through, and then they'll completely open up new parts of the game just through like traversal. Like you get a double jump, or you get like a grappling hook, or you know, shit like that. Blasphemous doesn't have those types of upgrades that at all. So you're also going to be interacting with the world in the same way the entire time. You find items that unlock certain areas, like keys and stuff, but you're pretty much like landlocked to your just the one move set in both combat and traversal. That's what you got the entire time. You're not going to unlock anything else. There's 3 upgrades that you can find that do sort of act as unlocks. One of them is just a movement upgrade. where it just makes you move a little faster, and your character moves so slow in Blasphemous that it doesn't really feel like you're moving fast. It just feels like you're normal. And then the other 2 upgrades are hidden behind cryptic side quests, which, by the way, every side quest in that game is very, very cryptic. A big problem, I think, with Blasphemous is that it almost has too much faith in you as a player, and it doesn't really give you information the way it probably should. Side quests can just kind of happen, and you don't even realize you're in a side quest until you failed it, and you're like, oh, okay, well, I guess that's done. I didn't know that that's how the side quest was going to progress, but before it's too late. Very Soulsy, but I think some of the Souls games have gotten better at that. There's 2 upgrades that are locked behind cryptic side quests that I thought would be, because you find there's these points. Here's the thing about Metroidvanias is that usually while you're traversing the world, you find these little like nooks and crannies that you can't necessarily activate or access yet, and you'll see like little nodes or some type of thing you can interact with that you're like, oh, I definitely can interact with this at some point, but not yet. And you just kind of wait until you progress to the point where you can interact with it. That never happens. I reached the end of the game before I found those 2 upgrades because they're completely optional. So I went out of my way to do those 2 little side quests to get those like traversal upgrades that make like red platforms out of these certain areas, and then like also make like these tree nodes grow to let me access certain areas. And all they did was give me like maybe a dozen or so hidden items that are on the same level as all the other items that I've collected without the upgrades. So I didn't unlock any like new areas or find anything like necessarily like unique or story relevant. It's just for extra shit. And I'm just like, okay. And it doesn't make you change how you interact with the world at large. It's just locked to certain areas that the game allows you to use these items in. It's not like I played Metroid Zero Mission, and you traverse the game completely differently by the end of the game. You got that like infinite jump, you got the fucking shine spark, you got like the power dash, you got all that shit. You do not get any of that stuff in Blasphemous. So kind of boring movement and traversal, kind of boring combat that doesn't really do much in terms of like challenging you or engaging you beyond like the first time you see an enemy. And I mean, the exploration is pretty good, I'll say. Like, the actual level design is fine. And the actual world itself, how it connects to it itself is, like, fine. Like, that's, like, good. It's serviceable. But you are immediately put at a disadvantage because there's no fast travel in the beginning of the game. So you're going to do a lot of backtracking while moving slowly, fighting the same enemies, just, like, mashing X, and maybe dodging here or there, until you can raise enough money to unlock fast travel through the donation box in the main town hub area, which really isn't really a hub. It just has like 2 things that you can interact with, sort of. And the donation box does not tell you, this is part of the readability issue, the game does not tell you that you unlock shit with the donation box. Like, even after you pass thresholds for when you unlock shit, the game doesn't tell you, like, the donation box, like rattles. Like, oh, something happened. You reach like a threshold, like you donate like 5,000 like dollars of currency, and then you just have to discover for your own that like you've unlocked something, which is I just don't like that. I just don't like that at all.
Seems like they really are trying to go for like the early Dark Souls angle on things, in a purposeful way that I think appeals to a very specific group of people.
Yeah, I guess so. And unfortunately, it doesn't really appeal to me. And I can't say I didn't have fun. I do like the game. I did have a good time. Although I just wouldn't recommend it to anybody I know, unfortunately.
So, I was pretty interested in Blasphemous 2 when that came out. Was that this year or last year? And
this was last year.
Last year. And I know a big selling point for that game was that you had 3 weapons that you can switch between, and that unlocked all of the Metroidvania stuff that you were talking about. So I'm wondering if Blasphemous 2 might have addressed your criticisms directly. If you have you looked into it at all?
Yes, I have looked into it. That's kind of why I started playing both of these games, is because I've had Blasphemous 1 for a really, really long time on Steam. And then both of the games were on sale for like dirt cheap on Switch the other day. So I was like, maybe I should get those because, you know, I'm going to like think about it. And then I found a review from a reviewer that I really respect. He reviews games in the way that I want to review games. And he said that Blasphemous 2 is the best, like no question about it, the best Metroidvania he's ever played. And I was like, oh shit. All right, I kind of have to play this now. And from what I can tell, many of my issues have been rectified with this sequel. They have the different weapon types. They have new traversal tools at your disposal. It seems like they have more interesting combat, just more in general that I'm like interested in, and I'm already interested in the lore and the story and the visuals and the music. So we got that down. They just had to make the gameplay better. So I'm already there. I really just hope that the quest design is better because I like 100%ing my games if I can, and this is one of the examples of where I was like looking at Blasphemous and I was like, fuck this. It is just not worth 100%ing this game because it is ridiculous at how cryptic and how walkthroughs somehow make it worse. Blasphemous has like 3 DLCs, all free title update like DLCs, where they add new bosses and new shit that should be like really, really cool. And then you look into how to access any of that shit, and it is just plugged and barred behind just strange, arbitrary, and stupid requirements that I just like don't ever want to do. And I very rarely feel that way about a game. But I'm just like, man, this feels so inaccessible for what it's offering, and I just don't want to do that because the game itself already doesn't even seem that replayable to me. So the fact that some of these requirements require me to play in a completely new save file. Listen to this. If you want to get the true ending of the game, which was introduced in the last DLC, you have to, on a fresh save file, like get to a certain point of the game without killing any of like the 3 main bosses or some shit like that. And then you have to go and you have to do things in this really weird order that I just don't know how anyone was supposed to figure that shit out. Ever. This is like, imagine the most weird quest in any Souls game you've played that you can just fail by just sheer just negligence, I guess. Like you just weren't paying attention for like one thing. You activated one thing early and it just fucks up everything. That is not only just what you need to do for the true ending, that's like every DLC for Blasphemous 1. And I just like, I was like looking at it and they're like, yeah, if you want to access this group of like 4 secret bosses, you gotta like go here, talk to this person, take this item that you can only access from doing this quest earlier in the game, which has its own convoluted like process that may or may not happen in the same way based on how the ending of that quest turns out. And I was just like, I can't. My brain cannot fucking take it. So I just don't think I'm gonna do it. I think it's over.
Yeah, that sounds miserable. I honestly, if I were you, I would move right on into the second one while you're still in the mood, and then if you ever want to go back to that after that, you can.
Yeah, I'm not in the mood. I'm gonna. I did like the game. Don't get me wrong. I did like the game, very, very much. Not very, very much. I like the game a decent amount. It's just not at the quality of game that I typically strive for. If you're more lenient on video games, you'll probably enjoy it more than I. Especially if you're just going through it like super casually. You have just no goals. You're just going to play it and just, it's how it is. But for now, I'm just like, all right, I need a break. I'm not going to play through the entire game to get the true ending because like I said, I'm going to be doing the exact same shit again. It's not like Blasphemous 2 where I heard you choose which weapon you start with in Blasphemous 2. So at least that's like a different beginning It's like choosing a different class in a game. It's like, oh, okay, at least I know I'm going to be doing the same shit in this video game, but I'll be doing it a bit differently. I'm going to be doing the game in the exact same way. So I think I'm okay for Blasphemous for a little bit. I'm excited to get into Blasphemous 2, but I'm going to take a little snoozer because I want to play Majora's Mask.
That's a spooky Halloween game right there.
I know. I was like, okay, I was like, I've been in the mood for Majora's Mask for a very long time, and it's Halloween, and I'm like, fuck, I'm gonna play some Majora's Mask. But yeah, I mean, that's how I feel about Blasphemous. Very well put together game, very impressive. Props to the developers, really. But if you're not into Metroidvanias, if you don't look at this game, and you look like you'd be really into it, with like the tone and the visuals and the setting, and you're like, I'm not really into that, but maybe the game is going to be good, like the actual like gameplay is going to be good, I wouldn't recommend it, really.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard, like you, I heard glowing things of the second one, though, so maybe after spooky season, we loop back around to that, let me know, because I'm interested to hear that, how that improves on all that stuff.
Yeah, I think I will. I think I need to do a run back on all these roguelike sequels that I have neglected. I played through Rogue Legacy 1. I got Rogue Legacy 2 I got to play through. It's like I'm going to save all the 2s to just take out in a big chunk.
Play Hades 2?
No, I didn't even play Hades 1.
Whoa. What are you doing playing any other roguelite? That's the one.
What am I doing? Is Hades is money, and I already purchased it on PC. And I feel stupid for that, because I bought so many games on PC that I simply shouldn't have.
It's never too late to play it on the laptop, though.
I could play it on my laptop. It's more likely that I'll play it on Switch if it runs at a good frame rate.
I played on Switch. It runs fine.
Yeah.
No complaints.
Is Hades 2 even out? I thought Hades 2 didn't even come out.
It's in early access, but from what I've heard, it's missing like one boss and one area and a couple things. But for the most part, it's all there.
Huh. Well, that's pretty good. Yeah, I need a... You know what I'm likely going to play before any of these roguelike Metroidvania-style games? Metroid Samus Returns. It's been on my list. It's been on my backlog for quite a bit.
Yeah,
and I have not played it. It does. I really liked Zero. I did enjoy Zero Mission. I'm very fond of Zero Mission, although I didn't think it was the most interesting ever. I'm very fond of it, so I'm kind of interested in getting into like, basically going from one of the earlier Metroids to one of the latest Metroids.
Well, Zero Mission, is that the remake of Metroid 1?
Yeah, Zero Mission is a remake of 1, and they are surprisingly faithful, but not really.
Well, so then isn't Samus Returns the remake of 2?
Yeah, Samus Returns is the remake of 2.
So you're
Samus Returns is on fucking Game Boy. Yeah, I'm going in chronological order because I just have access to that, so why not? And then I'll play Super Metroid, which is, the godfather of it all.
Yeah, it's just...
I need to get through fucking Symphony... Did you just say Super Metroid looks bad?
It doesn't look like a bad game. I know it's a good game, but like you look at Super Metroid and your eyes are like,
I've never... That is not true. I've never felt that way before. I think Super Metroid looks really cool.
I played
through a little bit of it.
Same. I've allegedly played through a decent amount of Super Metroid, and I do think it's a fantastic game, but it just kind of hurts my eyes.
Yeah, I mean, bright colors, I guess. Well, I mean, here's the thing. I gotta get through Super Metroid, and I gotta get through fucking Symphony of the Night. Those are like my next 2 stops in the Castlevania series. I have all the Castlevania, almost all. No, I do have all the Castlevania games except for like fucking like Mirror of Destiny. What is it called?
I don't know. You got like Lords of Shadow and all the 3D
Lords of Shadow.
That's
what I'm talking about. Yeah. I don't have those Castlevanias, but I do have all the other Castlevanias, and I'm up to Symphony of the Night. I'm putting it off for way too fucking long. That's not. Yeah, no. Super Metroid isn't the godfather of Metroidvania. It's fucking Symphony of the Night. What am I talking about?
Well, Super Metroid was like the greatest game of all time on all of the video game magazine top 100s for like decades. Like 30 years. It was like the greatest game of all time. So
it is a good game.
I was too young when I played it.
Long ago.
Same.
Yeah, you can't be playing that shit when you're too young.
Yeah.
Unless you're like playing it on the actual hardware and you're a kid from the 90s.
Yeah, if I played it now, I know I would love it, but I think I played it when I was 12.
Yeah.
It's definitely too early.
I also just like the tone of Metroid and Super Metroid specifically. It's almost got like a horror type tone with like these alien monsters. Like I love the design of the aliens, like fucking like Kraid, Phantoon, the one that falls into lava and turns into a skeleton. I don't remember his name, but he's funny. Phantoon. Yeah, I need to get into that.
Yeah.
I hope this isn't my full resurgence of Metroidvania games. I didn't think Metroidvania would be one of my genres, and I guess it is.
I only started getting into it last year, but I have a couple more on the docket that I'm going to play in the next couple months here, so.
You got Hollow Knight?
You know, I may have also allegedly played a decent amount of Hollow Knight whenever I was a little teen.
I need to get through Hollow Knight.
It didn't come out till like 2015, right? So teen. But,
Yeah.
But I may have cracked it, and it didn't work that well. So,
I need to replay Cave Story. You play Cave Story?
Yeah, I played that last year for the first time, and it was hard. It was really hard, but it was good.
I don't really like Cave Story that much.
I didn't hate it. I liked it. I mean, it was good, but I could see why people love it so much. I just think it has some... It's got some age, and it's got some issues that I think maybe people overlook because of the nostalgia for it.
Yeah, I don't know. I really need to give it like a real college try. But both times I played it, it just didn't click with me, and I'm like, it's got to be my fault, right? Like I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt and saying that it's my fault, and playing it, giving it one more chance, because both times I played it, I was severely disgruntled.
Because of the game or because of something else?
A little bit of both.
Okay, because when I played it, it never clicked for me. I finished it, but I always thought I was going to get to that point in the Metroidvania where you're like, oh yeah, now we're cooking with gas. I'm rolling, I got all my abilities, I remember, I need to go back there and get that thing, and like, oh, maybe I'll find another node over here that I couldn't use before. I just never got there. I still finished it though, and I think that says something.
I don't think I was able to beat it. That game kicks my fucking ass.
Yeah, and if you want to get the true ending, you kind of have to use a guide the entire way through.
Yeah, yeah. What's his name? Balos. That's the true ending guy.
Yeah.
Fucking Balos. Yeah. Love true endings. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I don't know why Metroidvanias decide to make the true endings specifically severe pains in the ass, but whatever.
True endings are kind of dumb, really. Unless it's like,
yeah.
I think a good true ending you get from just 100%ing the game. But in puzzle games or Metroidvanias or whatever, where it's like, do this incredibly niche specific thing with no guidance, and you have to use a guide. Nah, I'll pass. I'll watch it on YouTube.
Yeah, yeah. We can go. We go back and forth. I go back and forth on that. You know what? We should put that in the dome.
True ending episode.
Just endings. Just
Ooh,
endings.
That's a good one. I could talk about
see what happens.
Endings are very important to me, so I'll definitely put that on the list.
Endings are not that important to me. I just think it's really funny whenever they fuck it up. I still think about Liza P ending.
Oh, I looked up what it is, and you're kind of wild for not liking it.
It's insane.
It is insane.
It's not that I don't like it. I just like. I just can't. I can't fucking believe it. Okay, listen. You don't have, and you fucked it up for yourself too, because you're not gonna play like 30 hours of a game. Have so much build up, and have the climax happen, and then be greeted with that. Imagine, dude. Imagine you have sex with a girl. This is going to be probably my most insane metaphor I'm ever going to say in my life.
I'm having trouble imagining.
Yeah, but like think about how you've seen it in movies, and imagine having sex with a girl, and then you like, it's like good, right? And then she leans over to you, and she goes, "By the way, my dad is Saddam Hussein. You'd be like, what? You're like, what? What did you say? What did you say? That would define that entire interaction. That would define the entire night that you just spent with that person. It is that comment at the very end. You go, what the fuck? And then for the rest of your life, you'd be like, I slept with Saddam Hussein's child? Like, what? That's your takeaway. That's what you tell people. That's the first thing that comes to your mind when you think of those memories. That's what you think of. That's what happened. That's what happened to me.
That exact situation happened to you?
That exact same situation happened to me in real life, and then also when I played Lies of P.
I don't think it's quite as bad. I think it's shocking, but I don't think you have to feel bad.
No, it's just like, I'm just so, I just don't know. How do I react to that? I could have never, the thing is, I never, in my wildest dreams, would have imagined that.
Okay, there's a lot of people who listen to this podcast that just straight up are not going to play the game, so should we just say what it is? Because we've been talking about it for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, sure. This is the spoiler alert. If you're going to play Lies of P, this is the post-credits scene or whatever. At the very end of so this game, Lies of P is based on Pinocchio. It's based on the stories of Pinocchio. You know, everyone knows Pinocchio, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, they're pretty faithful in that they bring in so many characters from the Pinocchio lore, and they shape it to certain desires, you know? And it ends up being pretty good, I would say. It feels impressive how they were able to take the story of Pinocchio and shape it to this, like, kind of darker, interesting narrative. And then at the very end of the game, for like, it's like a 20-second scene, we see this shot of the city that you just spent the whole game in on this, like, I don't know, like fence type thing, not a fence, like a balcony, like a balcony railing. We see these 2 feet attached to their legs, of course. It's this girl walking. She has bright red shoes, and you're like, oh, who is this girl, right? And then she stops in front of, like, you know, Hotel Krat, the most important location in the entire game. She stops in front of it, and she clicks her heels 3 times. And that's when my head shot through the ceiling.
And that's when she said, I'm Saddam Hussein's daughter.
And I'm Saddam Hussein's... By the way, I'm Saddam Hussein's daughter. It's just like, I cannot believe that they're, like, doing a multiverse... Not a multiverse, but, you know, like, this is... Because basically they're saying, our next project, it's gonna be our take on the Wizard of Oz. I just wasn't ready for that, you know?
I could not believe it either whenever I watched the video of it, but I'm already into and excited for the idea of dark-ass Pinocchio. I'm, like, actually into the idea of Souls-like Wizard of Oz. I actually think that's a really good idea.
They pulled off Lies of P well enough that it's not stupid, because when you think about it, you're like, oh, that's kind of a silly idea. On paper, that's a silly idea, I think. At least me. You're just like, oh, you're making Pinocchio, but, like, cool, you know? That's just kind of like a concept that I think that's been in media for a while, and it's always, like, a little cringe in the concept phase. But they've done it really well that I'm actually impressed and proud that they were able to do it well and take itself seriously without being stupid. But I just, like, I can't even imagine how they're going to do the Wizard of Oz.
Big-ass munchkins.
Big-ass munchkins. Like, yeah, like, what are the munchkins going to be?
I don't know. I guess we'll find out. They're going to do DLC, right? Probably.
Well, some are saying that's what the DLC is going to be, but the DLC is kind of, like, due for, like, half a year.
Yeah, I guess they're also taking the FromSoft approach with their DLC of just, you know, we'll just wait till it's done.
Yeah, just wait till it's done, but I'm pretty sure they gave a time frame of when the DLC was gonna launch, and they said, I think, quarter, like, 1 or 2 of 2024, and there's not even like, hey, we're delayed. It was like, what's up with that?
Yeah, that's weird. Maybe they're just making a sequel.
Reminds me of Fantasy Life I.
It's coming out like next month, right?
It's coming out like tomorrow.
When was it supposed to come out?
When was it supposed to come out? April?
Oof.
Oh no, it was supposed to, I don't know actually. It said it was because it got announced like a long time ago, maybe like 2 years ago, and then it was. Wait, hold on. Is it fucking delayed?
No.
Holy shit! It's delayed. This game is supposed to. When did this happen?
No, it's supposed to come out like very soon, isn't it?
Wait, this is the Nintendo of Europe Twitter account. August 19th, 2024, we regret to announce that the planned release of Fantasy Life I, The Girl Who Steals Time for Nintendo Switch on October 10th, 2024 has been delayed. More information about the new release date will be announced in the future. Thank you for your patience. What happened? I think this is the same company that's behind Deca Police. If you remember Deca Police.
Yeah, I remember
That's
Deca
also
Police.
in like, yeah, that's also in like, we don't know what's going to happen to it. Like, hell. This is crazy. When the fuck did this happen?
Oh no, aren't they also the ones publishing the new Professor Layton?
They have very similar styles, so maybe.
I don't want that to get delayed forever.
Fantasy Life I, I'm on the Wikipedia, was announced for release in 2023 before being delayed in 2024, and later indefinitely. Damn, you got delayed indefinitely, like, less than 2 months before your scheduled release?
That's crazy.
That is very crazy. I was really anticipating the game to come out tomorrow. This was to come out October 10th. And now you go, I don't know. That's wild. I actually can't believe that.
And like you'll see that sometimes with like bigger companies. They'll do that for like, they'll do it for like 3 months, 4 months. And you're like, what are you really going to be doing during that time? Just a little bit of polish? Whenever it's that close to release and it gets delayed indefinitely, I'm sorry, Jonathan. This game's never coming out. This game's done.
Something is fucked. Something fucked up happened.
Something rotten has happened.
Something rotten has happened, and I gotta say, I mean, it's not like Fantasy Life 1 was that good anyway. It's not like I'm like, oh, I need the new Fantasy Life. It was just like fine. It was just pretty good, you know. Like I was just like excited to see like a new modern take on it. I can't fucking believe that, dude. I'm like floored.
Wow. Breaking news here on the Softlock Podcast. 2 months later.
Yeah. Yeah, 2 months late. Not like I'm sorry for all like I don't know. How many people in the world are hyped for Fantasy Life 2? 7?
You're one of them.
This is how you kill momentum. Yeah, I am one of them, unfortunately. Almost as much as many people who are playing Halo Infinite.
Damn.
Oh.
Damn.
Nah, I don't know.
Making that. You know Halo's fucked whenever they did that thing this week where it was like, we're making a new Halo.
Well, yeah, what the fuck? What happened?
I don't know.
They're like, we're going to be making... We have more Halo games in... Games. We got more Halo games in the chamber, is what they kind of said, right?
Yeah, I didn't have a chance to look at it because I was hanging out with you, and then I wasn't on my phone, so I'll have to read up on it. But from my understanding, they were like, all right, we basically stopped everything, and we're just starting fresh. Which, how many times can you do that with Halo?
Jesus Christ.
Also, I don't know if you saw the screenshots. It's like, it looks like Halo 1 Chief in Unreal 5. It's bizarre looking.
Halo 1 remake?
I hope not. I was gonna say I hope not.
Yeah.
But
Halo has multiple games on the way made with Unreal Engine 5. What the fuck?
Well, hear more about that on the Halo minicast. But I think that's where we're going to call it for today. I am EP.
You hear more about it if I'm alive by the time that a new Halo game comes out. I can't fucking believe that. Yeah, alright.
We're going to be like 30 when that game comes out.
And it's not going to be good. Still!
Listen, it might be the one.
Yeah, you know what? We'll get like a good month or two, and then something will happen. By the time that a new multiplayer Halo game gets released, it's gonna like we're gonna have a different, completely different game zone, like completely different playing field. We're gonna have companies that are like pay per match type shit. We're gonna be like, oh yeah, I don't really like the pricing scheme on the matches. I gotta pay double for the 16 versus 16. I'm not. Nah.
Don't even put those words out there.
Dude, I'm just saying.
You just created a thought, and now that thought energy is going off into the universe, and it's going to end up in the brain of some executive somewhere in China, and then you're going to regret that you ever said it.
I'll, if the day comes where that's true, I will find a way to end the universe. I will find a way to do it.
Well, until that day comes, I think we're going to keep on podcasting. So yeah, remember to come back at the end of October for our Halloween special. We're going to talk about all things spooky and all things gaming, not necessarily mutually exclusive things. And thank you for reviewing games with me today, Jonathan. I had a great time.
Yeah.
So
even though our games were kind of mid.
Yeah, but sometimes you got to play the mid games so that you can appreciate the great games.
That's true. I'm gonna go eat a bowl of shit now, and then eat.
So you're gonna go play the Silent Hill 2 remake?
Fucked up. You know it's not true. You know it's not
Second
true.
highest scoring Silent Hill of all time.
That I have trouble believing, but
we'll
talk about. That's gonna be a discussion for another time. We'll talk about that.
Talk about that next.
Let's get the fuck out of here.
Yep. All right, everyone. We will see ya.